Hello, Observable Football fans. My name is Keith,
And I'm Justin.
and welcome to our second video on this channel. For those who caught our first video, it was about the downfall of the Serie A. Today, we're doing an opposite video. We want to highlight the bright spots of the Serie A players for this upcoming season in 2 weeks. So me and Justin here today are going to give some players that we think are going to have an outstanding season for their respective Serie A teams. Now, some of these players might be unknown to you, some of them you may be hearing of for the first time, some of them already may have a presence in the Serie A, but we feel like these are players to have a mention for them for the upcoming season. So Justin, I'm going to give my first player, and this is someone that I have been following religiously for the last 3 or 4 years. As a as a very passionate Italian fan, especially with the Euros, there was one player I was very sad about not seeing there on the Euro squad. Can you guess what his name is? His name is Nicolo Zaniolo. This man has probably had one of the worst 2020s in probably of anybody, including me who broke my leg. This guy tore his ACL in January 2020 against Juventus, comes back for a couple months, does pretty well respectively, gets called up to the national team, and then he tears his other ACL on his left knee. And it's like so heartbreaking because this guy has so much talent. And seeing him finally come back this last month, I've been watching a couple of friendly games with him under Mourinho. He's scored about 3 or 4 goals, and he actually looks very promising. I mean, granted, against lower league Serie C and Serie D teams, but you know what? Still, like this player is unbelievable. And if you ever watch him play, it's just you're always mesmerized with him on the ball, especially for myself. For him, respectively, I mean, he hasn't played for the last 2 seasons, but he had 6 goals in 24 appearances in 2019-2020, which is pretty respectable for a 20-year-old at that time. He's now 23. I mean, coming off any big injury, there's always a little bit of a risk about that. But I feel like he's going to have a breakout season for Roma, especially with the new acquisitions that they have. They could be bringing in Tammy Abraham coming in this next window, depending if he's actually going to move to Roma. You still got Mkhitaryan in there. You still got El Shaarawy, Lorenzo Pellegrini. They have them. They have the personnel in place to be successful. And I think playing off those players, he'll have a breakout season. I think he's going to score around 15 goals. Justin, do you have any rebuttal to that?
Yeah. ACL treatment has got a lot better in the medical field over these last few years, and you're seeing players come back in all different kinds of sports much, much better than in the past. In the past, an ACL tear would basically mean the end of your career. That you're absolutely screwed. But I don't know. I'm still iffy on it. I'm still nervous because when you've had two in such a short amount of time, it's like, some people, their knees just suck. To put it bluntly, they just aren't good and it worries me that he's just going to be one of those injury-prone players that's just going to continuing having issues. So we'll see if he can stay healthy. Yeah, he's an absolutely fantastic player, and he's so crucial for what Roman do. I don't know what position he really sort of is going to play as well, like sort of right wing, sort of cam, sort of could even play center mid. So I'm also interested to see how Mourinho will use him.
Justin, who's the player you should watch out for?
Yeah, so the first player I kind of want to is definitely on my radar for the next season here is Dusan Vlahovic from Fiorentina. He's rumored to be linked up with a transfer to either Tottenham or Atletico right now. I'm really hoping that they don't put up the funds to purchase him. It looks like Rocco Camiso or whatever his name is looking for about 70 million to sell him, and the bids right now are coming in the 50 to 60 range. So I'm hoping that they stay at that limit and he stays in the league because he's absolutely fantastic player to watch. I'm a huge fan of his. He has a wide range of abilities. Like he's big and strong and fast, but also has extreme technical ability for a striker. I've even seen him being compared as the next Ibrahimovic. So I think he's a bit of a different player. He's a bit more of a speed orientated and not as imposing in the air, but yeah, I'm really excited to see what he can do. I think he's single-handedly pretty much kept Fiorentina in the Serie A these last couple of years. They've underperformed massively, and he's been one of their only consistent performers, scoring more than 10 goals in each of the last 2 seasons. And I think he is probably ready to make that step to a bigger team, but I'm hoping he stays at Fiorentina for at least one more year.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, absolutely fantastic player to watch. One of the games I've watched him play, he's definitely one of those players that does make a difference on the pitch. For me, is if I was Tottenham or any other big like Atletico, I would be a little bit hesitant just because has he perform that way for a period of time that shows that potential. Like the only thing is, like, I'm not saying he is this player, but I remember a player like Krzysztof Piątek, right? He had an outstanding season, before when he moved to AC Milan. I believe he was with Genoa before, and he did have a kind of a good start with them, but then wouldn't really pan out afterwards. So personally, I feel like he's going to stay with Fiorentina this season, just because I think teams want to see how he does this season to show that extended period of time of his ability. But yeah, like, I mean, I think he has. I don't think he's a Piontek, but I do think he has the ability. I think he'd be beneficial for him to stay with Fiorentina. So I definitely agree with that pick there for sure. My second pick is a curious one, to say enough. This used to be one of Justin's promising players for AC Milan, and he used to he used to shout him out a lot. My favorite player that I'm thinking to watch out for this season is Patrick Cutrone, who recently moved on loan from Wolves to Empoli. Unfortunately, his career hasn't panned out the way he has. I mean, he's just only 23. He unfortunately didn't score a goal last season, but he did when he was at AC Milan, he did have a good spell where he's scoring about 5-10 goals at the time frame there when he's starting or in the bench. I think this is an absolutely fantastic opportunity for him to succeed at Empoli, because he's going to get that main role with the lower league side. With the places that he's gone so far, at AC Milan, at Wolves, even at Fiorentina, they didn't give him that role that he requires to be successful. Like he didn't get that starting role with them. Even with Fiorentina, like he they wouldn't play him because they didn't want to pay the option to buy if he played after certain matches. And I think this is like the opportunity for him to resurrect his career, and I think this is a great opportunity for him to basically keep Empoli, out of relegation. I feel like that's one of the players to watch. That's when I'm going to watch them. I'm going to look for him to be the main man to lead them through to survive relegation. I'm predicting he's probably going to score around 10 to 12 goals, roughly, because he is a poacher. I know he has the ability. I just think, though, that he needs the support of the team, and he needs to lead the line for them. Justin, what do you think about that?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. He really didn't pan out as much. He had all the passion in the world, but he's just limited in certain areas. And I think really in the modern game, that poacher role is just much less useful nowadays. You need a striker that can do the link-up play, that can create some chances on his own, where I think Cutrone is pretty limited, and that's all he's good at is really putting the ball in the net and just getting past the back line there. He's kind of like a budget Inzaghi in many ways. But yeah, I think I like the move to Empoli. It's good going to more of a bottom dweller. I think that's more of his level. And if he doesn't score those 10 to 12 goals, then I think that'll be his last chance in the top flight, and he'll more likely be playing in the Serie B next season, would be my guess. Yeah. All right. So yeah, next player I wanted to highlight, Mikhail Damsgaard, young Danish center attacking mid from Sampdoria. He broke out last season, and I think he's just going to keep accelerating past that point that he is right now. He had a fantastic Euros with the Danish squad, really came to his own after Eriksen went down. He kind of stepped into that role and played absolutely fantastic with them. And I just think he's going to continue on the up and up. He just seems to have all the talent in the world. He's still pretty small and skinny, so I think if he bulks up a bit and can hold off to the defenders, he's going to be absolutely fantastic. So he's another player that's also rumored to be leaving. They're looking at about a 40 mil price tag and stuff like that the Sampdoria president has already said that they would be looking for. But we'll see if he actually does leave or not. I know money's tight, so I think most of this stuff is just rumors, and players aren't actually going to be moving as much as we think they would. So, yeah, we'll see what he can do with Sampdoria next season.
Yeah, well, I'm just remembering that image stuck in my head about that free kick against England. Like, that was like shades of Pirlo. When I saw that free kick, I was just blown away. Like, that was the first goal too that anyone scored against England that's in the Euros, right? And that was just fantastic. And I feel like, again, what a wonderful player to watch. And you know what? That's something that definitely I hope he stays in the Serie A just so I get to see him play more, right? Like, it's just like one of those players that you just can't take your eyes off of. So no, I think that's a great shout for definitely for that for sure. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching for our video today. Some of them may be some hot takes, maybe some of them you may disagree or agree, but either way, these are still exciting players. You should still watch the upcoming Serie A season. And you know what? If hopefully we're right about our predictions, but you know what? Could be wrong as well. And don't feel free to let us hear it in the comments.